Hi there. Sorry, I'm laughing already. Joseph Carab is here with the lovely Susan. And I will share an interesting tidbit. By the way, we're listening to Mingus. Mingus is phenomenal, very gifted. And when he's doing his experimental stuff, you can actually watch Susan's head rotate on her shoulders and she can spit pea soup because she doesn't like Mingus being experimental. I have to admit, sometimes it's really on the edge for me too. But like the one that yeah, I can get right into. Anyway, so much for me in my life, right? I hope you enjoy these little asides, how we begin our little video chats. I'm going to be reading stuff off the screen and from books. Hang on a second here. So here we are. We're in world building by a first person point of view, which I actually like. I think it's one of the best ways to get a reader into a story. I'm going to be reading from various published works. I'm going to be reading from some of my own works. So bear with me. World building by a first person point of view. The author is the narrator. We talked about this before. And I'm going to tell you about what I can perceive as the narrator, what the author perceives around them. So, starting with The Indelible Kind from Holding Wonder, Zena Henderson. Zena Henderson is a goddess. Go read her stuff. I've always been a down-to-earth sort of person. On rereading that sentence, my mouth corners lift. It reads differently now. Anyway, matter of fact and just a trifle skeptical. That's a further description of me I've enjoyed. Perhaps a little wistfully, other people's ghosts and breathtaking coincidences and flying saucer sightings and table tiltings and prophetic dreams, but I've never had any of my own. We know what this person's, what the narrator's world is like. Automatically. We know what they're looking for. We know what intrigues them. We know what they expect to encounter. Okay? So these things happen in this person's world, but not to them. So in addition to building the world, giving us a very clear glimpse of what the world is like, they've also told us something about them, and this is going to be a story of wanting, a story of I want to be like them. I want to have these experiences, but I never have. Okay, very good. From Brian Aldiss's A Clockwork Orange. Yes, I believe it is Brian Aldiss. Hang on, let me make sure. Anthony Burgess. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was looking at something by Brian Aldiss. Anyway, Anthony Burgess, A Clockwork Orange. What's it going to be then, eh? There was me, that is Alex, and my three Drews, that is Pete, Georgie, and Dim. Dim being really dim, and we sat in the Korova milk bar making up our Rossodox what to do with the evening. A flip, dark, chill winter bastard through dry. The Korova milk bar was a milk plus mesto, and you may, oh my brothers, have forgotten what these mestos were like. Things changing so scory these days, and everybody very quick to forget. Newspapers not being read much neither. The language used, and I don't mean the new terms that he's introducing to lock you into this world, but by doing so, we have the sense of some kind of gang, some kind of grouping, okay? And it's a very different world than what we're used to. There's a milk bar, What's that? Who knows? Don't tell Starbucks, they'll try to do something about it. Pete, Georgie, and Dim, Dim being really dim. Okay? What's it going to be then, eh? So the language used that is being spoken, granted as one sentence, but the language that is used tells us this is not the place that we're used to. This is not a time. This is not a speech pattern that we're used to. Rossodox, what to do in the evening. You can figure out what's being said. I don't know if people are actually being taught anymore to figure out a word's meaning by how it is used, in context. It used to be a great tool when I was learning. So very much locking you into this time and this place in Burgess's A Clockwork Orange. If you can't get through those first opening sentences, you're not going to read the book. If they lock you up, if they stop you, if what the hell is he talking about? Forget it. You have to get in there, and it's through that first person character telling you all this. So you know exactly what's going on. Okay, very good. Now, one of my great favorites, A Pail of Air by Fritz Leiber. This to me is one of the most brilliant pieces of writing I've ever encountered. Pa had sent me out to get an extra pail of air. I just scooped it full, and most of the warmth had leaked from my fingers when I saw the thing. We have it there, 2 short sentences. Pa had sent me out. Okay, we know basically the age, we know the education level of the individual, we know their status. They're with a group, and the group includes Pa, so it's a family group. Extra pail of air, P-A-I-L, of air, a bucket full of air. I remember reading this when I was very, very young and feeling cold. Actually, I still get a chill, and not just, from reading something, but I just about scooped it full, and most of the warmth had leaked from my fingers when I saw the thing. There's not a lot, if you will, going on there, but what is going on is so locking you into how is it that they can get a pail of air? That automatically, even as a child reading this, that told me this was incredibly cold. Air had solidified. So I got the world. I'd almost scooped it full, and most of the warmth had leaked from my fingers. If this guy's not wearing gloves, really good gloves, and air has solidified, we're talking real, like 200, 300 degrees below zero Fahrenheit. You don't want to go out there. I don't know how he's muffled at this point, but he better be. When I saw the thing, alien, it's not a human being. Goes into the next sentence, next paragraph. At first I thought it was a young lady. Yes, a beautiful young lady's face, all glowing in the dark and looking at me from the 5th floor of the opposite apartment, which hereabouts is the floor just above the white blanket of frozen air. Again, he's really hammering me with a cold in his language. And he's introduced this wistfulness on the part of the narrator, this young boy or young person. We do find out it's a boy. This young person that this is the world to them. This is the world. The world is cold and unforgiving and inhospitable. But there's this beautiful thing. It's a thing, and he wants it to be a beautiful young lady, but he doesn't know. Ooh, scary. Anyway, all through first person point of view, and the world is built. I'm going to read from Book of the Wounded Healers. Hang on, let me close that window, see if I can see myself. There, okay, Book of the Wounded Healers. You should all go get a copy. Chapter 1, First Meeting. How many heartbeats does it take to change the world? 3 creatures stared down at me like I'm the one who doesn't belong. People flee South Street Seaport under the FDR, across the Greenway and South Street, scream their way up Fulton, John Beekman, and the slips. Mounted NYPD officers yell commands no one pays attention to. Sirens get closer, but the sound of squawking seagulls, screeching pigeons, shrieking blue jays, clomping horses, screaming people, and crying children drowns out everything else. First thing is that opening sentence, how many heartbeats does it take to change the world? I had actually, in my version of the novel, I had buried that about 4 or 5 pages in. And all thanks to Rika Chandra, a London-based author and marketing person. Um, she read that line and she said, "No, it's the first one. That's how you open the book," and that changed the entire thing for me. Wow, it just opened up so many possibilities. Now, how many heartbeats does it take to change the world? The narrator is asking the reader that question. If the reader doesn't care, they're not going to read any further. But it's an interesting phrasing. How many heartbeats does it take to change the world? Okay. So it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition, if you will. Three creatures stare down at me like I'm the one who doesn't belong. First thing we know is they're not like the narrator. Whoever these three things are, they're not like the narrator. But he believes he's the one who doesn't belong. That's how their energy, if you will, is being shown to him. People flee South Street Seaport under the FDR, across the Greenway and South Street, scream their way up Fulton. If you're not familiar with South Street Seaport in New York City, don't worry about it. From this, we get that, oh my God, this is panic. People are fleeing. And it does anchor you in South Street Seaport, New York City. It's obviously a busy kind of day because there are people fleeing, running, there are mounted police, all right there in the first opening paragraph. So again, first person point of view, and we are doing world building. Okay. I'm going to read from The Goatman of Agira, which is one of the stories in Tales Told Around Celestial Campfires. And again, first person point of view, world building. 705015 216. We've landed in a grotto near the center of Jacobini's Altiplano, but closer to the towers of God than not. On one side of the grotto is the only run of clear water for some 30 kilometers. And I've noted with Sanders that this could be a problem, as all native fauna encountered thus far follow the same biologies as we. Immediately upon landing, Sanders ordered Telweiler, Nash, and Galen to construct a blind. We are now a boulder, one among several, that slid into the grotto when we lowered a rumbler to cover our landing. Nash estimates 2 standard hours before sunrise. A relatively short paragraph, and consider how much information is conveyed through first-person point of view. The author, who we don't quite know yet, but they are obviously taking notes about what's going on. Towers of God, excuse me, Jacobini's Altiplano. It's the only run of clear water for 30 kilometers. Could be a problem as native fauna follow the same biologies as we as humans. Immediately upon landing, Sanders, who's in control, command, Telweiler, Nash, and Galen, those are the people on the ship, construct a blind. We are now a boulder. So they are setting themselves up kind of anthropologically to observe. Okay, they're creating a blind so they can observe what's there. Building an alien environment very, very rapidly. Again, if you're not in there, don't bother to read. The last one is from the shaman. And this is, again, first person point of view, world building. Chapter 1, incorrect diagnosis. Yelling, there is heat in the words, I'm suffocating. Grandpa lifts me from my cradle, my only clothing a soiled diaper. He is fine and he'll grow strong. My mother reaches for me, he's stupid, Pa. The doctor said he's stupid, don't you understand? My father lights a cigar, drinks his wine. We're in America now, Pa. A boy like that, we'll spend more time taking care of him then. Grandpa turns, I'm in his arms. I smell his clove aftershave, feel his rough beard against my ears, my cheeks, my head. He tucks my head into his shoulder. I'm crying. Shh, Gio. Il nonno ti ha preso. Papa's got you. My mother's hand is on my back. Grandpa turns again. I feel Grandpa's strong heart against my chest. I hear my mother over his shoulder. Pa, this isn't the old country. We're alone here. who will help us look after him. Again, very short paragraphs, not a lot, not even half a page of text. So we learn, again, from first person point of view, that this is an infant. I don't know if they're newborn, but they are definitely an infant. We learn that the birth parents don't really have a lot of love for the child. We learn that the grandfather has a lot of love for the child and a lot of belief. He'll be fine. He is fine and he'll grow strong. A lot of character development. My mother reaches for me. He's stupid, Pa. The doctor said he's stupid. My father lights a cigar, drinks his wine. We're in America now, Pa. A boy like that will spend more time taking care of him than now the old man, the grandfather, a couple of lines further. Shh, Gio, il nonno ti ha preso. Papa's got you. So we know they are foreigners. They're immigrants. They're in a new country. What are they going to do? We can guess because they're speaking English, except for the old man for one sentence, that they're in America. The world is built through first person point of view. And again, one of the things you want to do when you're doing first person point of view world building is tell the reader or let the reader share in the narrator's experience as they're discovering stuff. Okay, that's what the examples were of. The narrator's experiences detailing what's going on around them reveals what the world is like. And we're still listening to Mingus. Susan's head is not spinning. It must be something that's not quite experimental. Hope that's useful. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much. Yep, searching for the goodbye button, the stop recording button. Where's my arrow?